When I first started on my journey, I didn't truly understand what it meant to work hard with purpose. I had ambition, I had drive, but my effort lacked direction. I was putting in long hours, hustling every single day, but I wasn't seeing the results I hoped for. It wasn't until I had a moment of clarity that I realized something crucial. Hard work is only valuable when it's directed towards something meaningful. Think of it like this. You can spend all day pushing a car up a hill, but if that car isn't going anywhere, or if you don't have a clear destination, you're just expending energy with no return. It's exhausting, isn't it? The same applies to your work and effort. You can work tirelessly day and night, but if it's not aligned with your ultimate purpose, you're simply burning yourself out. The key is to channel your energy into a specific direction that brings you closer to your goals. Let me tell you, I've been there. I remember early in my career, I had big dreams, huge dreams, but I didn't know how to turn those dreams into action. I was working hard every day, but it was like I was spinning my wheels. The hustle felt good, the effort felt like I was doing something, but there was no real progress. It took a while before I realized that working hard wasn't the problem. The problem was that I wasn't working towards something that mattered to me. I didn't have a clear vision. I was working for the sake of working rather than putting my efforts into building something meaningful. So what did I do? I had to get intentional. I took a step back and asked myself some hard questions. What do I want out of this? What am I truly passionate about? What do I need to achieve in order to feel fulfilled and accomplished? That's when I began to refocus my efforts, aligning them with my true purpose. I want you to think about this. What's the real reason you wake up and do what you do every day? Is it just to keep the wheels turning, or is it because you're building something meaningful, something that brings you fulfillment? The truth is, without purpose, hard work can feel like an uphill battle with no end in sight. But when your hard work is connected to something you believe in, when your effort is tied to a vision that excites you, that's when the magic happens. That's when hard work becomes powerful. Purpose fuels passion. When you know why you're working hard, you're not just putting in time, you're investing in your future. Every task, no matter how small, becomes a building block toward your bigger vision. Your purpose makes each action meaningful, and the more meaningful your actions are, the more energy you'll have to keep going, even when it gets tough. In my experience, once I had that clarity of purpose, the work became easier to embrace. It wasn't that the challenges magically disappeared. No, they were still there. But because I knew exactly what I was working toward, I was more resilient. I understood that the effort I was putting in wasn't just to make ends meet, it was to build something that mattered. And that made all the difference. It's not enough to just work hard. You must put in the effort with intention. You have to know what you're building, why it matters, and how each step you take brings you closer to that bigger vision. When you align your hard work with purpose, you will not only see progress, you will feel a sense of fulfillment with every step. And that is what drives real success. When you are truly committed to achieving something, focus becomes your most powerful. You see, the world is filled with distractions. They're everywhere. Social media, TV, people constantly pulling for your attention, the endless noise of everyday life. It's easy to get sidetracked and lose sight of what really matters. I know this firsthand. There was a time in my life when I was chasing too many things at once, trying to juggle multiple opportunities and giving a piece of my energy to everything around me. I was spread so thin, and it didn't take long for me to realize that despite all my efforts, I wasn't making real progress on anything. Focus in its purest form means narrowing down your attention and energy to the things that truly align with your long-term goals. It's about having the ability to shut out the distractions and give your undivided attention to the tasks that will move you forward. But here's the kicker. Focus is a discipline. It doesn't come naturally for most of us. We live in an age of constant interruption, where we're always one click away from something new, something shiny, something distracting. If we don't take control of our attention, it will be hijacked by whatever is closest or loudest. This lesson was hard for me to learn. In the beginning, I thought the secret to success was about taking every opportunity that came my way, every call, every meeting, every idea. I wanted to be a part of it all. But I quickly realized that I was spreading myself too thin. I wasn't truly giving my best to any one thing. I was like a car with an engine that wasn't firing on all cylinders. Sure, I was moving, but I wasn't going anywhere fast. One of the first things I had to do was start saying no, not just to the things I didn't want to do, but to the things that were good opportunities in and of themselves, but didn't serve my larger vision. I had to learn that I couldn't chase everything. Not every opportunity was the right one for me. And that's something I want you to grasp too. Focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing less, but doing it better. The truth is, when you focus on what truly matters, everything else falls into place. I've learned that the most successful people aren't the ones with the most opportunities. They're the ones who are selective about where they invest their time. The ones who focus on one thing and pour everything into it. When you focus, you magnify your impact. You increase the chances of success in that one area because all of your effort is aligned and all of your energy is channeled in one direction. Think about it. How many times have you started something only to get distracted halfway through? Maybe it's a new project, a new business idea, or a personal goal. You start with enthusiasm, but then the next shiny object comes along, and before you know it, you've abandoned what you were doing. That's the power of distraction. And if you let distractions control you, you'll never truly achieve anything. The focus I'm talking about is not just about avoiding distractions. It's about creating systems and habits that allow you to stay aligned with what truly matters. It's about ruthlessly prioritizing the things that will get you closer to your goals. For me, that meant saying no to things that weren't in line with my purpose. It meant being intentional about where I spent my time and energy. For example, in my business, I had to stop saying yes to every speaking engagement that came my way. I realized while speaking is a huge part of what I do, not every event was aligned with my long-term vision. By saying no to those that didn't fit, I freed up time and energy for the ones that truly mattered, those that would push me toward my bigger goals and connect me with people who would help me grow. Here's what you need to understand. Focus requires discipline and intention. It's not something you can just hope for. It's something you must actively cultivate. This is where a lot of people miss the mark. They wait for focus to find them. But in reality, focus is a habit. It's the result of consistent effort to train your mind to give attention only to what is important. When you start to focus on what matters, the impact becomes exponential. Every step you take is in alignment with your larger vision. Every action is deliberate. And when you consistently channel your energy into the right things, the results will follow. But remember, focus is a muscle. It's something that you strengthen over time. The more you practice focus, the more powerful it becomes. I challenge you to ask yourself today, what are the distractions in your life that are stealing your time and energy? What are the things you're giving attention to that don't align with your true goals? Once you identify them, get rid of them. Make the conscious decision to invest your energy into the things that will move you forward. Focus on those things with all of your energy and watch as your life starts to shift. Focus is not a luxury, it's a necessity for success. And when you master it, you'll find yourself accomplishing things you never thought possible. One of the biggest obstacles to achieving success is not the lack of effort, but the sheer number of distractions that pull us in different directions. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that we have to take on every opportunity that comes our way, or that we need to constantly be multitasking to get ahead. But what I've learned through my own journey is that distractions are nothing more than obstacles to progress. They keep you from getting to the place you want to be and prevent you from giving your best to the things that truly matter. You see, distractions don't always look like what we think they do. They're not always loud, glaring interruptions. Sometimes distractions come in the form of seemingly innocent tasks, people, or thoughts. They may look like urgent things that demand your attention but don't necessarily align with your long-term goals. For example, you might get an email that seems important or a phone call that's not crucial but feels pressing. You might scroll through social media thinking you're just checking in, but then an hour goes by and you realize you've gotten nothing done. Or perhaps you start a project with good intentions, but then another opportunity arises and you feel the urge to jump to something else before finishing the first thing. These distractions, no matter how small, add up and erode your focus over time. Let me tell you, I've been there. There were many times in my life when I thought I had to be everything to everyone. I thought that if I didn't respond to every text, every email, every call, then I would miss out on an opportunity. I was constantly reacting to the world around me instead of proactively taking control of my own time. It wasn't until I made a conscious decision to eliminate unnecessary distractions that I began to see real progress. I had to be intentional about where I focused my energy. The hardest part, though, was saying no. In a world where we're conditioned to be available at all times, saying no feels almost uncomfortable. It feels like you're being rude or ungrateful, like you're passing up an opportunity. But here's the truth I had to come to grips with. You cannot afford to say yes to everything. Not every opportunity is aligned with your goals. Not every invitation is one you should accept. And certainly not every conversation or task deserves your attention. By learning to say no to distractions, you create the space to say yes to the things that really matter. The discipline of saying no to distractions was a game changer for me. At first, it wasn't easy. It required me to draw firm boundaries and stick to them. I had to become very selective about the things I gave my time to. It meant prioritizing my long-term goals over short-term gratifications, and sometimes even over my own impulses. For example, instead of being constantly available for every meeting or every phone call, I started carving out uninterrupted blocks of time in my schedule to focus solely on the work that mattered most. That's when I started making real strides forward. It's not just about saying no, though. It's also about retraining your mind to resist the constant pull of distractions. In a world that thrives on constant stimulation, it's easy to get sidetracked. Every time your phone dings or a new notification pops up, your attention is pulled in 1,000 directions. But here's the thing, your attention is your most valuable asset. The more you protect it, the more you can accomplish. I had to train myself to check emails at specific times, to mute unnecessary notifications, and to avoid getting distracted by things that didn't contribute to my long-term vision. This discipline didn't just help me accomplish more, it also helped me feel more centered and focused. I can't stress enough how important this is for your success. The more you allow distractions to take over your life, the more you dilute your ability to perform at your highest level. You might feel like you're always busy, but busyness doesn't equal productivity. The key to truly moving forward is working with purpose and focus, not simply reacting to the world around you. Here's something else I want you to remember. Distractions aren't always external. Sometimes the biggest distractions come from within us. Our own fears, doubts, and insecurities can pull us away from the tasks that matter most. There were many times in my career when I would procrastinate or avoid doing the hard work because I feared failure or because I wasn't confident in my abilities. But I've learned that the best way to combat these internal distractions is to act in spite of them. Fear is natural, but it should never control you. Instead of giving in to that voice that says, maybe I'm not good enough, or what if I fail? Focus on taking small, manageable steps toward your goal. Every step you take is a victory in overcoming those internal distractions. The bottom line is this: you can't afford to let distractions take over your life. If you want success, you must create an environment where your attention is protected, your focus is unshakable, and your energy is devoted to the things that matter. The more you control the distractions around you, the more you free up your time and mental space to work on what truly moves you forward. And that's when you start seeing results that truly matter. Consistency is often the hidden force behind lasting success. We all understand the importance of working hard, of putting in the effort. But here's where most people go wrong. They think success will come from intense, sporadic bursts of energy rather than from sustained, steady effort over time. And the truth is, it's not the occasional all-nighter or the big sprint that leads to lasting success. It's the daily, consistent actions done over a long period of time that really move the needle forward. I learned this lesson early in my journey. Like most ambitious people, I started out with grand ideas, lofty goals, and a burning desire to make an impact. But after a few months of grinding away, I began to feel frustrated. I'd been working long hours, putting in the effort, but I wasn't seeing the results I expected. I was giving it my all, but it felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. And that's when I realized that the problem wasn't that I wasn't working hard enough. The problem was that I was expecting immediate results. I wasn't playing the long game. It's easy to get excited and go full throttle when you first start something, but the true test of success is not how much energy you put into something in the beginning. It's whether you can sustain that effort over the long haul. Consistency, day in and day out, is what compounds over time and leads to real breakthroughs. It's like planting a seed. You can water it, fertilize it, and give it sunlight all you want, but it takes time for that seed to grow into something substantial. You won't see the growth immediately, and if you give up too soon, you'll miss the harvest. When I started building my business, I had moments of doubt. There were days when I felt exhausted, days when I questioned whether the work I was doing was even worth it. I didn't see the immediate payoff, and I thought to myself, is all this effort really going to make a difference? But I pushed through those moments, and I kept showing up, doing the work, focusing on the small actions that in the grand scheme of things would make all the difference. This is where most people falter. They give up too soon because they don't see results quickly enough. The truth is, success doesn't happen overnight. And the reason why so many people fail is that they stop showing up. They stop being consistent. They stop doing the work, believing that the effort isn't paying off. But I can tell you from experience, consistency compounds. The more you show up, the more you put in the work, the more the results start to snowball. It's the small steps taken consistently that lead to big wins. Let me give you a metaphor. Think about a snowball rolling down a hill. At first it's small, barely noticeable, but as it keeps rolling, it picks up more and more snow. The longer it rolls, the bigger it gets until it's massive, unstoppable. That's what consistency does. At first it might feel like nothing is changing, but when you stay the course, when you keep showing up every single day and putting in the work, you start to build momentum. Before you know it, what started as a small effort turns into something powerful, something that cannot be stopped. I also want to make something clear. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean doing everything right or never making mistakes. It simply means showing up. It means committing to the process, even when things get tough, even when the results aren't immediately visible. It means giving your best effort every single day, regardless of how you feel. Some days will be harder than others, and that's okay. The key is to keep going, keep putting in the effort no matter how small. In my own journey, some days I was exhausted or I didn't feel like giving my best, but I showed up. I kept working, even when things weren't perfect, even when progress seemed slow. And eventually, all those little actions, all those consistent efforts began to add up. It was like a snowball rolling down a hill, gaining momentum with every step. There is another powerful aspect of consistency. It builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. When you show up consistently day after day, you prove to yourself that you can be relied upon. You develop self-discipline and build confidence in your ability to follow through. That trust is a powerful force. It creates an internal momentum that makes it easier to continue. You begin to believe that your efforts are worth it, even if the results aren't immediate. The trust you build within yourself becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. As you continue to show up, you build your own track record of success, one small action at a time. But consistency isn't just about doing the same thing every day. It's also about adjusting and evolving. While you remain consistent in your effort, you also need to be willing to refine your approach as you learn and grow. The world is constantly changing, and staying stagnant isn't an option. You must be consistent in your willingness to adapt, to tweak your methods, and to keep growing in the process. The power of consistency lies not just in repetition, but in the commitment to continuously improve, no matter how small the changes might seem. Ultimately, success comes down to this: Consistency wins. It's about showing up every day, putting in the effort even when you don't feel like it, even when you're not seeing immediate results. It's about believing in the process and trusting that over time, your consistent actions will lead to the success you've been working for. When you embrace consistency and stay committed to the long-term journey, there's nothing that can stop you from achieving your goals.